Would you like to hear a joke?
I would love a joke. It's something, the people I feel need a joke right now because, times are really weird.
This is not my joke.
You didn't write this?
No, sir. It's just what they call a street joke.
Good.
But my dad would always tell this joke. It was about a little boy called Dirty Johnny, and he'd be in class. You ever heard Dirty Johnny?
The Dirty Johnny jokes, yes.
I've heard the whole series.
In this joke, he's not dirty. But anyways, the teacher has a thing. And the teacher says, today in class, we are going to have a little experiment. You're going to tell a story from your real life. And then afterwards, you're going to tell the moral of that story. So Sheila puts up her hand, and the teacher says, Sheila, what's your story? So Sheila says, well, my dad works at the hatchery. And he took some eggs, and he put them all in a basket. All the eggs he put in one basket. And then he put them in the horse and buggy, and off we went to town. And the earth was uneven, and the eggs broke. And the teacher goes, well, that's an all right story, but I can't understand what the moral would be to that story. So Sheila says, well, the moral is, don't put all of your eggs into one basket. So the teacher says, well, by God, this is exactly what I'm looking for and what I was hoping for with this experiment.
Yeah.
And anybody else have one? So Marjorie puts up her hand. Okay, Marjorie, what's your story? Well, my father works for the hatchery. Most
people in that town work in the hatchery.
Worked at the hatchery.
Thank God for the hatchery, she says. Or where would we be? So she says, my father, he sells chickens. And he knows that eggs become chickens. See what I mean? So he had to count his chickens so he could go and sell them in town. So he had 9 chickens and 5 eggs. So instead of saying he had 9 chickens, he added the 5 eggs. You see, he counted them as chickens. So he said, I have 14 chickens. So he took them, Sheila says, and put them in the horse and buggy, and off they went to town, but the land was uneven. The chickens survived easily. They frolicked. The eggs broke. Well, the teacher says again, that's a story, But what on earth could the moral of that story be? Well, Sheila says, if that's her name, I forgot. She says, don't count your chickens before they hatch out of the eggs.
Right.
Teacher says you could probably shorten it a little. So, but that's great. And that's exactly what we're looking for. And then she looks at the back of the class, and by God, there's the upraised hands, as you say, fucking Dirty Johnny.
Fucking Dirty Johnny. He's going to ruin the lesson.
So the teacher, inside of her head, her thoughts are moving around, and she's like, God, I don't want to hear Dirty Johnny say that. This is going so well, but at the same time, I took a vow and I became a teacher that every student. All right, Johnny, let's hear your story. So Dirty Johnny gets up and he says, this is a story about my Uncle Terry. He didn't work for the hatchery. He didn't even like people that did. He was in Vietnam. And he lives on the disability checks he got. Uncle Terry was not a popular man, not even among those he worked with. And I suppose we've all heard of people who've deserted from their battalion. But I don't know if you've ever heard of a battalion deserting a man. That's what they did with Uncle Terry. One day, Uncle Terry awoke in the middle of Da Nang, and everybody was gone. He was alone, and they'd left him 3 bottles of Jack Daniels and some weaponry. So, Uncle Terry got up, says Dirty Johnny, and he downed the bottle of Jack Daniels in 2 slugs, and he threw it down and smashed it into the jungle. And then he walked, picked up the 2 Kalashnikovs and 3 or 4 Glocks and a couple of hand grenades, and off he walked into the unknown, the jungle, his fate. Came upon a village, and from the village came people. Now, were they Charlie, or were they the people that Terry was sent to protect from Charlie? Uncle Terry didn't know. But he knew he had to do something, so he took another swig from the bottle, and he let loose. Took that Kalashnikov, and he let it sway like a farmer would a scythe. And the bullets came, and just as hay would fall before a farmer, so the people fell before Uncle Terry. The men, the women, and by God, even the children. And finally, Uncle Terry stood alone in the mud and the blood and the guts and only at himself. He took a long swig, and his hand brushed against his pants, and he felt wetness, and then he felt shame because he realized he had urinated himself in fear. And then, upon closer inspection, he realized it was not urine. It's ejaculate. And his shame was replaced by pride. And the teacher goes, holy fucking shit, what the fuck? Fucking kind of fucking story is that? Like, we just heard the hatchery and shit, and now this? She goes, well, Dirty Johnny, what on earth could be the moral to such a story? So Johnny thinks about it for a couple of minutes, and he goes, well, I don't know, I guess. Well, I know one thing. You don't fuck with Terry when he's had some drink in him. And he's uncorked the jug. You stay away from Uncle Terry. And he don't like anybody that works at the hatchery either. You remember that. You tell your parents that.
Wow.
So that's just to lighten things
What
up.
a joke. Your dad told you that? Your dad was a great storyteller.
That was my dad's story. That
You
he
taught
loved
us to
tell.
laugh again, Norm.
Thank you.
Look at
Oh,
that.
my goodness.
Ejaculated right in his pants, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Loved
The thrill
killing.
of it. The thrill
The
of it.
thrill of killing.
The thrill of it. Well, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows what it was?
Who knows what would happen if you were put in that situation?
Thank you for that story, Norm.
I mean, we always talk about going back and, if you could only go back in time and kill Hitler. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
But what a horror it would be to go back in time, meet Hitler, and get hypnotized by him.
And like him.
And then become one of the guys. And it gets even worse.
They say he was a very powerful speaker. You didn't know. All of a sudden you're killing in
They
his name.
say he was a powerful speaker. Then on YouTube, he's like, and you're like, what
Yelling.
the fucking Christ? Don't vote for him. Vote for anyone else.